Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcasts from Krastorio. Episode 7. If you follow the playlist, you may notice that I'm recording these episodes quite quickly in comparison to how I'm releasing them. Make hay while the sun's up, I believe is that phrase. Hay in this case being Factorio, and the sun being up being me having good enough mental health to make videos. So yeah, apologies if you are commenting on the videos, as you should be, because the algorithm wants you to. Then any effects or changes you may not notice for a little while. But it's not that kind of video really, is it? Anyway, without too much faffing around, let's get on with it. We just about launched the rocket last time, just about. So let's see what's next on the agenda, shall we? The logistics hub is up. Pretty much there. The issue was we had no steel. Basically. We had no steel. Although it seems to be doing okay now. Although I can tell you why it's doing okay now. Because I built more. Where am I? I'm over here. Let's just go over and have a look, shall we? I wasn't quite sure where I was going to put it. I thought about maybe putting it down here. But because steel needs wood and then coal to make the coke, to make the steel. Wood obviously you can get anywhere with the greenhouses. But you need coal, you kind of really need coal and iron ore vaguely next to each other. So I've done this. This was the extra coal I hooked up for when I thought coal power was not sufficient. But it was, coal power was sufficient. I made the classic Factorio error of removing a power pole that actually was doing quite a lot of work. So we're using the Mark II mining drills. With my current level of mining productivity, which in Krastorio is not as much in the early game. 20% I believe is what that said. Yeah, 20%. Takes about 34 miners to fill a belt. And then filling a belt with ore obviously only gets you half a belt of plates. And half a belt of iron plates gets you a quarter of a belt of steel. So this is half a belt of steel, which should be more than sufficient for what we're doing. Of course, remember the long-term goal. No, it's not really a long-term goal. The short-term goal, I suppose, is to get all of this research done. So we can get rid of red, green, blue military tech cards. So let's try our best to get more military tech cards, because that is going to be the bottleneck, I believe. I still spent quite a long time umming and ahhing about whether I should automate military science or not. The closest I got was building one of these biolabs, which takes the petroleum and some oxygen and makes biomass, so I don't have to go out and collect the biomass anymore. This is very slow. But the military production is very slow anyway. Obviously I got rid of the old steel facility here, plugged in a new coke to Biter research data. So I tallied up. I did a proper actual real tally this time of how many tech cards we would need to get all the military done. And it came to about 11,000. Energy weapons damage 6-7. Oh no, just 6, sorry. Physical projectile damage 6. Refined flammable 6. Oh, laser shooting speed, that was what was 5, 6 and 7. Yeah. Although these are quite cheap. The big ticket items here are your Spidertron for 2,500 and your atomic bombs. So I decided I was just about to automate it. I in fact even called this save file Fine, I'll Automate Military. And then I decided no, it'll be fine. I've got 600 tech cards in here. 1 byte of research data makes 5 military tech cards. And then you only need a blank tech cards and electronic components on top of that. So, obviously if I'd have just automated a production line at the beginning, this wouldn't have been a problem. So I really don't recommend you do it like this, even if it is possible. And then as soon as military is done, all the other cards are done as well. So we need to put some stopgap measures in place to make sure that we don't overproduce too many tech cards. Not so much purple and yellow because we will use those going forward, but we don't want to end up with too many tech cards. Even though the belt buffer is probably fine. Yeah, so it's about 11,000 tech cards. So I'm going to do it like this. Probably don't do it like this. Let's have a pollution cloud update, shall we? Seeing as we spent a little bit of time talking before about this system. I plugged them into the logistics network now that the logistics stuff is all pretty much there. Got a little space here for anything I want to just build, so I'm doing some extra roboports for now. To go into my Mark II power armor, which has portable nuclear reactors, but I'll talk about that in a minute. What I did notice though is that once steel was fine, quartz was an issue. Quartz and silicon was an issue. So we need to fix that. Simple enough. Forgive the fact that these all need modules, I haven't been bothered to go down there and get them yet. This is just basically the same as the iron. Just a few belts of stone that get crushed, turned into quartz. The quartz comes up to the base, gets turned into silicon. Which means that we demolished this, and now this small stone patch here only goes into glass, which will become a problem. I'm sure this will become a problem soon. That is only, what's that say, 506,000 stone. That'll be a problem at some point, I'm sure. I also realised that I'd never paid any attention to my little landfill operation going on here. And these filled in 10,000, about 10,000, 9,600 landfill in each. My main concern was this lake, because I do have a long-term plan which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And this lake is quite large. It's quite large. There isn't a way, there should be a way to work out exactly how much landfill you're going to need. You can select the shallow water, because the shallow water becomes the water fill mod item. But that doesn't get you much. The only thing you can really do is cover the whole thing in radars and landfill, and then landfill ghost instructions, and then select that. The other thing you can do, I suppose, is you could make a blueprint that is exactly one chunk, and then just roughly see how many chunks this is. I suppose you wouldn't need to use a blueprint, because each one of these sections that the radar is revealing is one chunk. So a chunk is 32 by 32, which is, oh god, 1,000 something. 2,000, no, 1,000. One of those square numbers. 1024, that's the one. And then, oh god, how many of those go in there? This must be at least 5 chunks square. At least 6 chunks square would be this, roughly. It's a lot of landfill, it's a lot of landfill. So this sitting here doing nothing is actually really bugging me. Krastorio adds bigger logistics chests as well. So I've got a storage warehouse here on top of the 2x2 containers and a 6x6 container with 500 storage slots. So I'll go up there and just replace that with that. And then eventually hook it up with roboports and we can use that as our landfill. Yeah. So I need to sort the power supply out as well, quite severely. I think I've made these saves in the wrong order, haven't I? It's just got my old power armor. Weird. Power is an issue, and the I put nuclear power stuff in the logistics mall, and that was also part of the reason why I sorted this out, so that I could put some quartz in a chest here and bring it over to the logistics hub every now and then, because you need quartz to make the heat sinks. Or the heat pipes, I should say, which you need to use to connect the nuclear power plants to the heat exchangers. And then with some nuclear power, as I say, we can get Mark II power armor sorted. But we're going to need to do something about our uranium processing area because it's a bit of a mishmash. And we don't actually process a lot of uranium. We don't even get 235 a minute. Take us about 4 minutes to get a single uranium, and that's not really going to supply a nuclear power plant, is it? So let's get that sorted. Covarex is essentially the same, except the byproduct of the uranium turns into stone. 30 uranium in, 31 uranium out, and the 238 uranium turns into stone instead. So this is going to be full of stone anyway from this, and we can do something about that. Again, this is one of the change this to a storage warehouse so I can use this stone to start making rails for something which I will explain in a minute, and then just connect this with a simple circuit condition to the bus. Just bring in steel. The the uranium fuel cell recipe is balanced in this mod compared to vanilla, where it is hugely unbalanced. 2 uranium 235 and 10 238 and 1 steel plate makes a single fuel cell, 50 gigajoules of power. I built a nuclear power plant, a very quick and dirty and horrible nuclear power plant. It's not very good. It doesn't have any of the usual trappings that you would need, where you capture the steam, or you tell it to not do anything. It just is here. The ratios are slightly different. A nuclear power reactor has an output of 250 megawatts with a 25% neighbour bonus, I believe they have. 25% each neighbourhood bonus. So that gives you, in a 2x2 section like this, 50% neighbourhood bonus each, which gives you 375 megawatts of output times 4 is 1.5 gigawatts. The heat exchangers take 50 megawatts each, so that's 30 times 50 is 1,500, so you need 30 heat exchangers. I have 32 heat exchangers here just for symmetry reasons. And then each heat exchanger outputs 250 steam per second, and the steam turbines in Krastorio consume 50 steam per second, so you need 5 steam turbines for every heat exchanger, so that is 150 steam turbines. Those are your Krastorio to nuclear power plant ratios. And that's how you work out the ratios if you weren't aware. I know a lot of people, they kind of just take blueprints for nuclear reactors, they plop them down. Yeah. So nuclear power will come on. 1.5 gigawatts of nuclear power will come on as soon as the Covarex sorts itself out. I didn't make this save file after I made a very simple change here to just make these slow inserters. Covarex obviously has the problem whereby the centrifuge will take 2 lots of the recipe by default. It will take the 30 uranium and it will also take another 30 uranium to get going the next time. So your centrifuges at the top will be starved for uranium. And it's not a massive deal. It really isn't a massive deal. I did spend some time thinking about over-engineering something where I have 2 lines of inserters. One that inputs into a box, and then when all the boxes are full of 30, sends a signal to these inserters that say, alright, you can start loading now. And then these inserters power off. It was getting a bit complicated for my small brain, and I realised in the time I was taking to design that, the throughput issue would just sort of solve itself. So as soon as we have a little bit of a backlog of uranium, we will start making fuel cells and the nuclear power will come on. Alright, cool. So we're pretty much sorted. Pretty much sorted. I upgraded the military to military science to assembler Mark IIIs, so I could put more productivity modules in. We only need we only need the Spidertron and the atomic bomb and a few other things. So we're about halfway there on the research. I started putting cards in the box, and then once the box has enough of the cards in to also finish all the research, I will just turn the science off completely. I didn't really see any reason why the belts... I may as well have these machines working the whole time, and then when I have all the science I can just turn them off. I mean, it's not the best way of doing it, but I needed something to do. Right, let's move on, because I've got big plans. Big plans, big plans. Hello, it's me, the Factorio engineer. What are we doing, other than completing weapon shooting speed 6? Once again, my save files are in the wrong order. What am I doing with my life? What are we doing here? Yeah, look, the nuclear power plant isn't there. My god, I'm so terrible. What is the long-term plan? You should know the long-term plan. I've been mentioning it several times now. The long-term plan is to finish all the science and turn this into a glorified mall for the megabase. What form is the megabase going to take? So I spent some time in the lab, in the jank tank, and I didn't want to do normal city blocks. You know, square city blocks, chunk-aligned city blocks. And if you saw my other Krastorio 2 megabase video and my reverse megabase video, I used sort of production lines, long train lines that went north to south, and all the production for one science was in one row, and you know, something a bit like that. So I wanted to do something different. And I've always been a big fan of the brick style city block. So rather than... because as we all know, cross-sections for trains are not very good. They're very complicated. But T-junctions are fine. So I've always been a big fan of, like, city blocks that are this shape, you know? And then you just stack them so they look like house bricks, or just bricks. So I spent some time, and I've come up with this. Let's plop the ghost of this down, shall we? Tree is in the way. It's quite large. Tree is in the way. Alright, here we go. Some features of this. If I show the tile grid, you'll notice the pylons are in the intersection of chunks, which is very helpful. Krastorio 2 power poles are exactly one chunk long, so that's one chunk if I put it in a straight line, which I don't think I have. Have I? Yes? No? Anyway. The pylon also powers 2 inserters and an air purifier, and the air purifier is on this side here, so that's in this chunk, and it's on this side here, so it's in this chunk, and there are air purifiers amongst all the edges. It's left-hand drive, obviously. Left-hand drive's best-hand drive, we all know that. Two European 4U. The roboports, yes, Krastorio has functionality to have roboports in different modes. So the general, you know, the normal mixed mode is like this, and then what button is it? It's not M, Shift M or Shift L or something. One of those buttons. Anyway, it changes the mode. They're not like that, basically. They're all like this. They're all normal, and this will cover. Doesn't look like it will, but it will. If I turn my roboport off, this one down here covers more than half. This one up here covers the other half. The other more than half. So the roboports in the middle of the rail lines will ensure that the middle is completely covered by construction zones, so I can build from afar. The stations are stackable. They're built for 1-4 trains, and they are stackable, so if I have a recipe that needs 4 inputs, for example, that is more than possible with this. Just about. There it is. There we go. So good. So good at Factorio, man. And obviously the same with the outputs. The outputs is the same. There's a little space here. There's one single medium electric pole here that just about reaches to an advanced radar. So Krastorio has radar Mark IIs, which cover a lot bigger of an area. And I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with this. Why am I deleting things? I wanted to delete these. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. This should give us everything we need to start the megabase. And obviously it's not going to be a megabase straight away, but we can at least get the infrastructure up. Obviously the advantage of the city block design is that you're not beholden to, you know, everything up here is sort of tied together. It's hard to upgrade your red circuits. Whereas in a city block design style, if you want more red circuits, you just change the module of red circuits. In a bus base, your throughput is only as fast as the slowest segment of belt you have in your entire base, if you think about it. If there's one yellow belt here, then suddenly your entire base slows down to 15 items per second. With the city block, that's not true. I could have this city block running on red belts, and I could have one up here that's slightly more important running on blue belts. One down here that's not important at all running on yellow belts. It's crazy. And yes, I want this to go... And I did some simple rail sections as well that are also aligned to the same chunks. I want this to start going here. And we'll go this way. We'll go east. West doesn't look quite as good, for whatever reason. And also the logistics mall is here. So if I just put this here, or wherever I end up putting it, we can start. We can start. And that will be the plan. So let's have a bloody go, shall we? Yeah, see? Kind of works. Have to just keep putting the blueprint down. Hooked up the landfill. I could change the landfill, obviously, so that we could fill this lake in. And currently I'm on the hunt for rare metals. Because if you look, looks like we've been done a bit dirty by the map generation. This rare metal chunk here was destroyed by the... I'm pretty sure how it works is it generates the whole world, just the land, and then puts the resources down, and then puts the water down. Which is why you get things like this. Or this one here. Here's the only other one I found. It's also had a chunk taken out of it by the water, which is slightly annoying. So I go on a bit of a hunt, and I have to say I don't find any. I do not find any. Now you might be saying, yeah, mate, they're called rare metals. And that's quite sarcastic and smarmy, and I don't really appreciate that attitude. So nip that in the bud, please. I don't find any. And it bugs me. Here's a Johnny. Find loads of bloody mineral water, and I find loads of oil. There's enough oil for days. There's a big patch up here. 39 million, but that's so far away. It's so far away. So in my infinite wisdom, I remembered that in fact there are recipes in Krastorio to enrich your ores. Enriched rare metals. And the rare metals one is quite good because to enrich the rare metals you need... I just hit a tree, hit another tree. You need hydrogen chloride. And I was making hydrogen and chlorine anyway. Because you need chlorine to mine the rare metals in the first place. And you get chlorine by doing water electrolysis on sand, which has hydrogen as a byproduct anyway. So without too much laborious changes, I can just enrich the rare metals here. Functionally, what does that do? Well, the rare metal smelting recipe is 10 ores into 5 plates. The enriched rare metals takes 9 and gives you 6 with some very easily dealt with byproducts. And then 5 enriched rare metals makes 5 rare metals. So you turn 9 into 6, so that's what, 66%. This is also capable of being productivity moduled, the enrichment process. So you can not quite double. I won't go as far as to say double, especially not with generic chemical plants. When you get advanced chemical plants with more module slots, then maybe you can. Let me just show you. Probably easier to just show you. So I'm already doing the water electrolysis. But now the hydrogen and the chlorine comes down here, gets turned into hydrogen chloride in chemical plants. With a bit of water, can enrich the rare metals. Dirty water comes out. You can also filter the dirty water. This is productivity moduled, so you in fact get more dirty water out than water you put in. So you do need to vent the water, which doesn't make any sense, of course. So this turns 5,900, well, let's just do it per second, I guess. 1.5 raw rare metals into 1.43 enriched rare metals. So with some productivity modules, you can see I've got productivity modules 3s, because I thought I would just run off. Modules are much cheaper in Krastorio. They need more assembly machines. This ratio is not right at all. 5 into 2, 5 Mark 1s into a Mark 2 is correct, but then you would need 5 Mark 2s into a Mark 3. So you would need 25 of these. So currently this makes 1 a minute of each, but you know, slightly more than that because of the crafting speed of the assembler Mark 3s. We've got the resources to do it. So I've got some productivity module Mark 3s for some really important things like this and uranium fuel processing and things. So if we put productivity modules in the smelters as well, we're getting a lot. We're getting a lot more rare metals out of this than we were. The grid continues to expand, so that's good. Science continues its relentless march. No, it doesn't. Not doing anything. Oh, I really regret doing it like this. I really regret doing it like this. So obviously the plan now is to start with a goal of, and I used factoriolab.github.io and made a new plan, a new calculator for 100 cards per minute of the 6 endgame cards. Production, purple, utility, yellow, optimization, fancy space science, and then matter, advanced tech cards, and singularity tech cards. 100 each of those a minute. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to build a second base, which won't need to be torn down as such, but it will be replaced as we unlock more researches and more endgame machines and things like that. And as you can see, how much landfill was this? 15,000, that's it. Oh, no, that's 15,000 ghosts. 36,000 landfill ghosts. 101,000 landfill. This didn't take as long as I thought it would. Although it's possible I've just been playing Factorio for too long. And it did take a long time. Let's open the milestone, shall we? Immosite powder, 24 hours. Still never killed a behemoth biter, that's funny. Yeah. So, to round this one off, I thought we'd get started with the new base, the mega base. Well, it's not really going to be a mega base to start with, but it's going to have it's going to be like the test run for the mega base. It's going to have the infrastructure and we can get things sorted. I thought I'd just hook up this iron ore supply here to a smelting array down here. The calculator said that I would only probably need 2 red belts of iron ore to do 100 tech cards per minute, and that'll very handily fit in one of these modules. Ignore this, this is when I was crushing Immersium, because at one point I thought I'd be able to do matter tech cards before I did this, but I can't, I don't have the infrastructure. So let's have a go. Here it is. I know it's not in the middle. Sorry. I will fix that. I just was in a rush. Because I knew this would be the end of the episode. So I thought, I'll just get this save file. So anyway, you don't care. Loaders work in Krastorio. They never used to. But now they do. So you can unload from a wagon straight into a box and then unload the box, which does mean that your stations don't actually need any electricity. A simple train station cargo thing here, without belabouring this too much, you tell this constant combinator what the stack size of the item is. So in this case, iron ore stacks to 200. Times that by 160, which is 4 wagons worth of slots to get a train load, which is 32,000. This decider combinator then just reads what's in the boxes with and outputs it as a generic thing, so you don't have to change every constant combinator and every decider combinator to the thing that you're counting. And then this decider combinator just compares one train load's worth with what you currently have. So if I have less than 1 train load's worth in these boxes, the station will open, which is why this train is currently sat here saying I have nothing to do. And that's generally how I set my stuff up, generally. This will consume 4 full belts, and eventually trains will probably be going in and out of here at pace. But generally that's what I do. So most of my unloaders are going to look like this. Simple requester and provider. Oh! Ah yes, there we go. The output signal just went under 32,000, so the train came. That was convenient. If I'd have just looked for 2 moments longer, I would have seen it arrive. Seen it depart, rather. These are nuclear-powered trains as well. They use uranium fuel cells. So we'll need to, which is why there's an output here for the uranium fuel. The spent uranium fuel cells. I don't have an issue with my logistics bots travelling all over the entire megabase, delivering pollution filters and uranium fuel cells and taking away other fuel cells. I feel like that is exactly what the logistics bots should be for. I've never been a huge fan of logistics bot buildings, like actual using logistics bots to move huge amounts of product around, or logistics bot mining and stuff like that. I've never been a huge fan of that. But just seeing the odd bot flying over the base doing various things, I always thought that was exactly the point of them. I really like that. So yes, the inaugural train ride. Iron. Let's put a tag down as well, shall we? Shall I install the text plates mod? I don't know. Add tag. Name. Iron plates. That's not what I wanted to do at all. I wanted to do this one. There we go. Hooray! Oh, the biters are looking a bit nasty around this side, aren't they? Better do something about that. So close to finishing the science as well. But we'll leave that for next time. So this is the plan. We will have to build a lot of modules, of course, and we'll have to hook up a lot of mining and doing a lot. But that's the good bit. That's the bit that that's the bit that we care about. It's going to be a long time before we do any more research, though. Is the only thing. It's going to be a long time, but that's okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like and a comment. And if you want to see more of the broadcasts from Krastorio, be sure to subscribe. There goes the train. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Take it easy. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.